Hi guys, today is the 10th of August 2019 at 35 minutes past 10 in the evening over here in the UK. The Hong Kong protests are heating up with police firing tear gas on the ninth week of demonstrations. They have been firing tear gas, but leading up to the 15th of this month, where I think, China might send their military in, we've got this escalation with between the police and a crowd of over 1,000 at a railway station in Taiwan in the northern region of New Territories. And as I say, it's just another step towards higher escalations within Hong Kong. And at the same time, we have escalations in the Kashmir region between India and Pakistan. One second. And tear gas is being fired. And obviously, as I reported before, Israel is telling their citizens to leave. India told their citizens to leave. So too did Germany and France. So there's quite a few countries telling their citizens or their officials to leave the region, and obviously that spells trouble brewing in that region, and that could be depicted in the IPEC Goat 2 video as well. Obviously, between Kali and Bin Laden being the depictions of India and Pakistan. So keeping an eye on that. Typhoon Lakima left 22 dead and a million evacuated in China. Now this was recently. Now I believe that this is one of the typhoons that we should be looking out for, because this typhoon is part of a twin with its counterpart following not too far behind. As it's the 10th today, it will be arriving around Japan in 5 days time, which I'll get to in a few seconds. The major power failure in Britain, I feel like that was a test for a bigger event, possibly here or possibly in the United States. Got to watch out for tomorrow in the United States, and on September the 2nd and 3rd in the UK. Interpretations for that are on my channel. I think it was the last video I posted, or the one before. It will have September the 2nd and 3rd in the title, so it should be easy to check for if you'd like to go and search for it. Obviously this power outage is unusual and explanations are being demanded, yet no answers have been received. As I said, I think it was a test for a larger event. Speaking of tests, North Korea testing 2 more short-range ballistic missiles, with Donald Trump obviously saying he's not worried, and having recently received another very beautiful letter. I wonder if it was in the same Freemason type envelope as the first one. This is obviously a worry for places like Japan and South Korea. The United States itself has a few military assets in South Korea and around the region, so I just wonder at Donald Trump's thinking if this was all unfolding legitimately. Obviously we know that this is orchestrated and planned, but even if it's all a show, there's certain things that don't quite click together, and we have no idea what is contained within these letters, which is also intriguing and concerning at the same time. The language being used in relation to the recent stock market fall is stock market's plunge, and this is obviously in response to, well, partially in response to the extra sanctions that were labelled on China, but more heavily in response to China devaluing its yuan to its lowest level in 10 years, which the United States Treasury labelled as currency manipulation, and therefore labelling China as currency manipulators. The Dow closed 750 points down. Obviously, to me, that's not quite a plunge. We've seen these kind of numbers before last year, late in the year, in December. So I'm watching for events falling even further, and that will undoubtedly be in conjunction with the oil and the Strait of Hormuz and the pharmaceutical industry. As I said, I'm watching this Johnson & Johnson case, which will have large implications for the pharmaceutical industry. Should the judge rule on the plaintiff's side, we'll only have to wait and see. The decision is expected sometime soon, possibly later this month or in September. Obviously, again, just thinking of September, Congress is out of session for all of August and most of September. However, they may come back in relation to these latest shootings and the implications for gun reform. And while all that's going on, they've also got the possibility of discussing impeachment, which Jerry Nadler says is basically on. They are now pursuing impeachment. So that's a big marker for me. That's something I've been watching out for. And I think it's also connected with the recent death of Jeffrey Epstein. I feel there's going to be more information revealed about his illicit activities in the days to come. And obviously, as I said, he's connected with Donald Trump and many famous people. And one of the words taken from the missile slash penis on the chalkboard in iPad Go 2 is the word cult. And I feel like that is connected with this sex trafficking, videos, pictures. Some more information's due to come down the line. And I had a suspicion that Jeffrey Epstein would commit suicide. It's a similar feeling I had and still have about Paul Manafort. They both seem like people that have a lot of information that they would rather keep secret permanently than reveal. However, in Jeffrey Epstein's case, I feel like that information is still going to come forward. Even more so now, possibly because he's no longer around. People may feel emboldened to come forward. So we'll see what happens in that case. Iran apparently chased a UK Royal Navy HMS Duncan with gunboats. Again, this is just another escalation. The possibility of Britain joining the United States in a maritime blockade of Iran is quite high. Also, Israel may join that blockade, and Iran has said if Israel joins the blockade, Israel will be a sea of fire. Basically, they'll go to war with Israel if Israel joins the US, the United Kingdom, France, and potentially Germany if they decide to join in this naval blockade. Iran has said before, if their country or their oil is blockaded, or what's the other word? Kind of lost it. We'll just stick with blockade. They would block the Strait of Hormuz, and obviously that would have effect on the oil, and that in turn would have effect on the market. And we're already seeing language that associates with iPad Go 2 video in the use of the word plunge. And then there's the potential, even more so, for someone of Spanish descent, possibly with the name Jesus or Jose, to take action against Donald Trump for the immigration rhetoric and the connection they're making to that and the shootings. And then now the ICE raids that have separated over 300 families. I don't agree with the way that they've gone forward with this separation. It's one thing to say in the Bible it says obey the laws, but as we know, laws are created by man, and man is corrupt, and they create laws to benefit themselves, and laws can be changed. So I feel like that's a bit of a cop out. There's more emphasis in the Bible on love and reciprocating, sharing, caring. Um, yeah, so that's my opinion on it anyway. Um, there will be no changing that on how I view it. Things can be done differently, is what I'm saying. There can be more compassion. The Bible does speak of love waxing cold near the times that we're all looking out for. And if you look around, I think that's a big check on that one. So if you do feel like your heart is waxing cold, like I do sometimes, um, I just think about that verse and try and remember to love and keep open, and not block yourself off too much from the world as much as you would like to. The tsunamis in Europe, looking out for those, especially in the Mediterranean, in association with Mount Etna and Stromboli. And we got this report saying Europe is preparing for a shock 7.0 magnitude earthquake amid concerns that a doomsday megaquake could unleash a tsunami into Mediterranean's tourist hotspots. Um, I don't see it being an earthquake just like that. Maybe induced, and any tsunami in an earthquake scenario in that region, I believe, would be amplified by the collapse of one or more volcanoes, i.e., the ones I just mentioned. So keeping an eye out on that, and finding all these reports always subliminally come out and remind us of these events that are possibly planned and due to take place, and they're presented as possible scenarios, which is kind of the way I present them, but they're they're them and I'm me, so it's a bit different. The twin to Typhoon, forgotten its name. Let me just go back for a second. Lakima. Yeah, so the twin to Typhoon Lakima, the name is Typhoon Krosa, and it's approaching the east of Asia. At the moment, looking at the maps, it's approaching Japan around the 15th, and I think it's significant that it's part of a twin set, and this is going to be bringing quite a lot of rain, and it's going to be arriving around the 15th. The name itself translates into a few things. A lot of them don't make any sense. One of them that stood out to me was the one in capital letters, score, which just reminded me of football. And there is a match being played in France tomorrow, which I'm going to be keeping an eye out on. So if we hear of any events taking place at a football match in France, be warned, it was possibly orchestrated. The map itself for Typhoon Krosa, this is today, the 10th, and if we just jump to the 15th, we can see that it's moved from here to here, and that's Shanghai, Tokyo, so it's in that region. And I think that relates to this part of the video where we have the swirling pattern on the chin of the skeleton. This could be in relation to the typhoon in that region. And we've got the 5 fireworks in the background, along with the 1 party favor, possibly giving us a reference to the number 15. So that could be the 15th of any month, but we do have, as I said, a large typhoon approaching the area on the 15th, so something to keep an eye out for. And obviously prior to that, we see the tanks here, and with